Damn, why is my picture all blurry? Oh, maybe it looks cool. Let's see. Looks fine, I guess. Just do more 22 stuff today. There it is. Looks cool, I'll blur you. Oh, see, I've just been looking at 22, just like chords and stuff. It'd be interesting to just like go through a bunch of the different chords. So you have the major triad, like C down, E, G, minor triad, C, up E flat, G. It's a super major triad, C, E, G, sub minor triad, C, E flat, G. So yeah, you have four types of third. You have the major, super major, minor, and sub minor. And the same thing applies to the sevenths. It's a major seven. On a major triad, you can also have a super major seven on a major triad. It's a major seven. Super major seven. And then you have your minor seven on a major triad. Sounds kind of funny. It's kind of a funny sounding dominant chord, but it still works. The sub minor, I think sounds more traditional. 5-1 progression. Versus it still works. Yeah, you have two options there, I guess. Sub minor seventh, which is closer to the harmonic seventh from the harmonic series. And it's up minor seven. It's almost like a neutral seven. So that's all over a major triad, and then a minor triad. You know, you can do the major seven, get a minor major chord. Super major seven. Kind of a weird version of that. Kind of interesting chord. And then a minor seven. Sounds pretty normal. You get the minor triad with the sub minor seven. That's kind of interesting. Very subdued. a super major triad. Just gonna go with a super major 7. Just kind of resolve to a just regular major 7. Same root. I wonder if it will resolve to a kind of needs to either go to the triad or to the major 7. And then there's the super major triad with the major 7th. Sounds very similar to the other one. It's not really like a resolved sound. That one's a weird chord. Super major triad with a regular major 7. So yeah, the super major triad's pretty tough to use, but I think it sounds good with the 6th. But like that or like this. Sounds pretty good like that. And pretty resolved too. Even go from like yeah, super major with a 6 sounds better than like a major 7 or a super major 7. And then there's also the minor 7. I don't think I've really messed with this one at all. This one sounds pretty good actually. It's very dominant. I guess because it's got the kind of dominant quality, the super major 3rd being unresolved isn't really a problem. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. So you could do that on like a cheat chord too, I guess, if you wanted. Interesting. I wonder if it sounds good going to a minor. Versus this. Yeah, maybe, yeah, actually. So you resolve that super major, the minor 7 to the minor chord, sounds a little better. Maybe even than this, going from the regular dominant to the same minor chord. They both work, but I don't know, it sounds smoother going to the minor. What if you try to resolve into a sub minor? Or if you resolve to the major 6 chord. Yeah. I guess if you're in like super Pyth, maybe it's better to start with a super. Let's try this though. It's got this leading tendency that's really strong with this. That's just going to a regular major 7 from the super major with a minor 7. And there'd also be super major with a sub minor 7. It's kind of a trippy chord, so it's super major 3rd, sub minor 3rd, sub minor 3rd. So what chord goes major 3rd, minor 3rd, minor 3rd? That's the major triad with a minor 7. So this is kind of the like the opposite of that almost. Not opposite, but super major, sub minor, sub minor. Whereas this goes major, minor, minor. I guess you could do like major, sub minor, sub minor, but you wouldn't have a fifth. I don't know that sounds like a dominant chord. It almost sounds resolved. Oh, that's because I'm playing a minor chord. So let's play this. Super major triad. Yeah, I guess it sounds dominant. So that goes fine to the major triad. So super major triad with a sub minor 7. So let's go to the major 6 chord, super major 6. So the major 7. Yeah, it just seems to work as a dominant chord just fine. So it's the third is only a quarter tone from the root. I think maybe super major triad works almost like a dominant triad in a weird way. So yeah, just to recap, the super major with the super major 7, with the major 7, with the flat 7, and with the up flat 7, and then with the flat 7. They all seem to have a nice dominant kind of quality. But if you add the 6th, it's fine. What if you add the 6th to the 7th though? Let's try like... Yeah, something about adding the 6th just calms it down. It's kind of weird. So I didn't look at the... I looked at the minor and the major, so I didn't look at the sub-minor yet. Sub-minor, try with a sub-minor 7th. Seems like a solid chord there. Sub-minor with a sub-minor 7. So yeah, maybe using like a weird dominant chord sounds better over that. Or sounds better going to that sub-minor chord versus the traditional. It feels like a little... I don't know, it feels a little meh. But if you do like this super major with the other 7th, they seem to fit together a little better. I wonder if you do this one. I think even that one, just the major 3rd on the 7th. Doing that neutral 7th goes better with the sub-minor triad. Do super major 5 chord with the harmonic 7th. I think that one works too. I think the worst one is really just the traditional for resolving to the sub-minor triad. So it seems like any of the weird dominant chords will resolve that sub-minor triad. So there's also sub minor with a neutral seventh, a regular flat seven. That's a cool chord, actually. Oddly, that one's not sound very good with the ninth. I think maybe I like the down nine more with that. They both sound kind of bad though. Maybe the regular ninth is better. Oh, that's a cool chord. This is super major and then minor. So a sub minor, super major, minor. That's probably, yeah, because it's like a super major seventh. That's why it sounds like a little dissonant. How's this sound with this? Just the six. Crazy chord, but already getting used to that. But yeah, this one sounds cool. Does it sound resolved though? I don't know. I think it can, yeah. It's almost like a dominant minor chord. So if you do the minor triad, the sub minor seventh. It feels more dominant than like Star Wars Escape. This feels more resolved. This feels more. It's weird because in a 12 equal you wouldn't get that. You get this. It almost seems like in 22 on a minor triad you can get a kind of a dominant function. Interesting. So you could even like, so in 12 equal, it's not uncommon to go from like a major 7 to a dominant 7 down a 5th. So very common move in 12. Does that work going to the other chord? Not as well. But yeah, it kind of does. If you do the super major triad with that other 7th, I think it still works. It's kind of interesting when you mix the 3rd and the 7th. When it comes to the dominant function, it seems like a super major 3rd can kind of add to this dominant quality, and so can the sub minor 7th. So it's almost like you can get it almost seems like you can get like a dominant triad, or even like a dominant minor chord. And maybe dominant's not the right word, but like a kind of like when you play a 5-7 chord in 12 equal, there's that push for it to resolve down a 5th. With these other chords, it kind of feels similar. I don't know that it's quite as strong. I kind of think it's not. But I don't know, if you try like a chain of 5ths thing. So if you start like here, See, I don't know if it's as strong, but it seems like it can work. Just doing a super major triad. I almost feel like the major 7 is like more like wants to push to the next chord more. It's like super major 7. Interesting. Where was I? Oh yeah, subminor triads. That sounds cool. So then subminor with a major 7. Just sounds like a minor major. That wants to go somewhere. Resolves nicely to the major 7 on the same root. Goes nicely to a F super major. It's a minor triad with a major 7. Goes nice to a F super major. Really seems like it just wants to go to the C. What is that? So this would be, it's a major 7, it's a neutral 2nd, or down major 2nd. This is a C down sharp. It's a minor 9th, basically. So minor 9, minor 9. Major 7, minor 9. Down 2. So it'd be, if you were to spell it, it would be C, down D, down B, and then down C sharp. which would be, I guess, up D flat. I don't think it matters really though. I guess if you're thinking of as a 9, it'd be up D flat. I don't know if it's better to stick with ups or stick with downs, or if it's better to stick with sharps or flats or whatever. I don't know that it matters. So down. We'll just stick with the down since there's only one sharp or flat. Just keep them consistent. Okay, from the down D to the down C sharp is a major 7, super major 7. I like that interval. Be neutral second on the 5th, so D down, or D or C down, D down, A. C down A. That'd be a major 6. Pretty clustery with the major 3rd. Pretty shimmery with the super major 3rd. So C down D, E down A, C, E down A would be like a, I don't know, but down D and down A make a fifth. So down D, down A, if we were to invert that, this would be the neutral seventh. And then up 9, which I guess is a sub minor third, sub minor 10 or whatever. It's like a D sub minor. Oh, this is that chord I was into earlier. Sub minor with a minor 7. So this is just an inversion of that. So this E is actually down F. So really you would spell it down D, down F, down A, and then C. So since these are consistent, it's sub minor. And then since this is 1 up, it's that up minor 7 or the neutral 7, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, if you could play like this. With the 7th in the bass. Cool. I guess this would just be with the 9. So the other version would just be an inversion with the 9. So it'd be like a D. So I guess you could call it like a down D, neutral 7. Or down D 9, neutral 7. Probably minor. But there's no fifth. Down D5, add 9, neutral 7, something like that. Down D5, neutral 7, add 9. Neutral 7, add 9. One thing you could do, yeah, to distinguish the neutral 7 and the neutral 2. Do like D sus neutral 2, because the second leans sharp, the 7th leans flat. I guess it doesn't really matter though. These are the only neutral intervals, I think. Unless you consider the up 4 neutral fourth. Which, what does XenWiki say about that? So if I go, what the hell happened to my internet? The stream's working. Internet's working. Maybe XenWiki's down. I think XenWiki's down. Can I find the intervals somewhere else? Hey, they call it neutral here. Hey, that's cool. So on the on the regular Wikipedia, they call it 7th neutral. They also call it a greater just minor 7. Undecimal neutral second. Let's call it the small just whole tone. Dude, this is not in 22. What is this doing? Oh, this is the interval they're basing it off of. 11-10. I see. So if you base it off of 10-9. Oh, that's interesting. They grade out the worst interpretations. So this one is like 12 cents off of this. And 15 cents off of this. So it's definitely closer to like the 8-7. Yeah, they don't, like septimal whole tone makes sense. Interesting. Yeah, they do call this one neutral on the wiki, on regular Wikipedia. Yeah, septimal quarter tone. Oh, it's not that close, but whatever. Isn't it really close to like 31? 32 over 31? What? Let's do this. $55. Yeah, it's like spot on. Yeah, it's almost 32 over 31. It's like the 31st harmonic. Um, Okay, but yeah, what I wanted to know was, what do they call this? I call this lesser decimal tritone. Roughly the 11th harmonic. Yeah, I think it's pretty okay. I mean, it's pretty far off, but 16 cents, but no. It's like 6 cents off. It's not that far. That's pretty close, 6 cents. What the hell did I just listen to? Okay. Yeah, they sound very similar. I don't even tell the difference. What do they call it? Sixths. Septimal major and major. 12/7. Versus 5/3. I feel like the 5 limit is not really that well represented. 15/8. Oh, that makes sense, actually. Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah. It's pretty close. It's only like a couple cents off. 3 cents off. That's pretty close. Okay, so they're saying this is close to 11/6. It's not really that close to this. It's really off from this. So basically, like, this is like what 12 equal is, 16 to 9. Either that, it's like a 9/8. What's a 9/8? Or like a 9 to, not 9/8. 9/5 or... Yeah. Ten 17. So this is closer. 16/9 is a lot closer. It's like 16/9 is like the 12 equal 7th. So this is a lot closer to this. But it's still not that close, still 13 cents off. It's very interesting interval. And then this one's really close. The 11/10 is really close to this. I think that's partly why the neutral second is more convincing. It's really close to 11/10. It's not even 2 cents off. So yeah, that's really close to 11.10. The whole tone's not really that close to 8.7. And it's also not that close to 9/8. So the seven four is really off though. Well, it's not that off. 13 cents though. Oh, they put the error right here. So yeah, 13 cents off. So this is really close. This neutrals, this 11, if you call this 11.6 and this 7.4, they're both the same amount off, but in opposite directions. So the 7s are kind of screwed up from JI. That one's really close, 12 cents. Hey Unicast, what's up, dude? Learning some microtonal music theory. How are you doing? I'm reading about 22 divisions of the octave, and I've just been playing around with different chords and stuff, kind of hearing how they sound. But I'm looking at this chart to like compare these intervals in 22 to like the chart compares them to the like just intonation ratios. I'm also thinking about how they compare to like the 12 equal ratio intervals. But yeah, I've just been learning about this tuning a lot lately. Oh, this one's really close. Septimal minor 6. So this is really close to 14 to 9. So 57 cents off. So I mean, that one sounds a little cleaner, but it's pretty similar. That's above your head. You're an engineer, you do produce, but your music theory levels by ear, which is fine because you do have great relative pitch, but not ideal when you can't find the notes you want. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely easier to like find notes you want in like normal tuning if you just stick to a normal tuning, but it's possible you can't find the notes you want because they're not in your tuning. I mean, it's not necessarily the case, but I do think that happens sometimes. Sometimes you might want to hear a note that's kind of inflected off the piano grid or whatever. Yeah, I've been getting really into the microtonal music for the last like, I don't know, I've been into it for like 4, maybe 5 years now. And been getting really into this tuning where you split the octave into 22 equal pieces instead of 12. So yeah, it's an octave. If you started here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. But it's cool tuning because you still get like major chords, like, and minor chords. But you also get like what are called super major chords and sub minor chords. Which those sound really cool to me, these sub minor. And yeah, I don't know, you get a lot of familiar chords, but also some kind of slightly different chords. So you can do like a normal like 5/1 resolution. Jazzier version. But you also can do these like kind of wonky 5/1 resolutions with like different notes. And all kinds of interesting stuff. Yeah, I've posted some music on YouTube that I've done in 22 equal. Like, one of my favorites is this, where is it? This one. And that's that one. It keeps going, obviously, but I just put out this one too.
With the help of zero accounting software, I've got the right information.
I'm not singing on this one, but
so business is a breeze.
Just chill. Yeah, basically these I just wrote them pretty much by ear. But yeah, I'm just trying to like learn the theory really well now. Kind of dig into like what chords are possible and try to figure out like how they can be used kind of just in a normal like functional harmony sort of way. obviously there's not like a bunch of like 22 equal music out there in the world. There is some. Sebish has some good music in 22, and so does Brendan Burns and a few other people, but you know, it's not very common. So you know, if you want to like really get into the tuning, you kind of have to just do a lot of like experimenting with the chords and kind of looking at what's there and kind of hearing it and kind of thinking about it on your own and trying to figure out like how it could be used. And then because yeah, I mean, obviously you can learn from others. You can learn from other microtonal music too that's not in 22, but kind of just like specifically looking at 22 lately. Out of all the non-12 tunings, it's probably my favorite so far. I mean, and there's a lot of great tunings. It's not like all the other tunings suck and this is the only good one. There's a lot of really good ones. It's just this is the one that has grabbed my attention the most consistently and persistently, I guess. Yeah, it's been studied by like music theorists and stuff, and like Paul Ehrlich is a big microtonalist, and he wrote a lot on he's like a big microtonal theorist, and he's written a lot about 22. Kind of came up with these scales and stuff for it. He's done a lot for like microtonal theory in general, not just 22 equal, but 22 is definitely one he kind of went into a little more deeply than some other tunings. But I think even before him, like historically, I think Boson K was really into it. She's an older music theorist. Yeah, this paper was written in 1877. But he was influenced by like Indian music and came up with this idea of the 22 equal scale or tuning. Which I don't think they used in India, but they used a 22 note scale that kind of inspired him. It was either that or they used like some other scale that he thought could be split into like a 22 equal note scale. The idea of dividing the octave into 20 steps seems to have originated with 19th century music theorist R.H.M. Boson K, inspired by the use of 22 tone unequal division of the octave in the music theory of India. So there you go. Boson K noted the 22 equal division was capable of representing 5-limit music with tolerable accuracy. All that means is basically that you have like major and minor triads. That's all 5-limit really means. I'm oversimplifying, but without getting like into JI and stuff. That's a good enough interpretation. So basically it can play familiar chords, but also some unfamiliar ones. And also everything that it plays that's familiar is, you know, it's obviously a different tuning, so it sounds slightly different. So even if you do kind of boring stuff, like you know, it still sounds slightly different. I'm using this MIDI controller. It's called a linnstrument. And this other big microtonalist, I mean, like, besides, like, Paul Ehrlich, another big microtonalist, this guy, Kite Gudritis. And he's contributed a lot to microtonal theory, but has also, like, made some cool microtonal tools. For instance, he has this tuning device called a kite tuner. He came up with ups and down notation, which is referenced even on the regular Wikipedia here. And he came up with this firmware for the linnstrument to reorganize the linnstrument MIDI notes so you can do microtonal layouts. So with this controller, I can, like, set it up to do whatever tuning I want. So if I want to do like 19 notes to an octave, I could change that here. I could change the step size here, and so on. So now I have a 19 note layout, which it's probably easier to conceive this layout than the one I was doing for 22. But like your major scales, like right here. So 19 is a pretty friendly tuning. It's more similar to 12 than a 22 is, because they're both 19 and 12 are mean tone tunings, meaning that your fifth is a little bit flat. It's a lot flatter in 19 than it is in 12. Excuse me, but not that flat though. But in 22, your fifth is actually sharp. And that like screws with your scale. So your diatonic scale, circle of fifths in 22 is like but your triads in that scale they sound weird, like they're super major or sub minor, which sub minor sounds fine, but the super majors are pretty rough. But you can lower 3 of your notes just like you do in 12 equal to go from major to minor. You can lower the third, the sixth, and the seventh by a Edo step. So by like basically a quarter tone in 22. And you get a better major scale with better major triads. And you can kind of combine those two scales. They blend together pretty well. So like that is sort of a blend. If you just lower the third and the seventh, you get like a major 1 chord, but then a super major 4 chord, then a regular 5 chord. But your 2 chord would be sub minor, which is pretty cool. Your 5 chord would be normal, and your major 7 would be normal. Yeah, just your 4 chord would be strange. It'd be super major. But I don't know, I think it's fine. I mean, you can always just switch a note. So that'd be a normal 4-1. Maybe the super major 4 to the 1. Super major feels like it wants to push up. So maybe you go like super major 4 to 5/7 to the 1. Stuff like that. Just like looking for things like that. And then like on those super major triads, they're so hard to use. But if you just add the 6th to those, they sound pretty good. That's the super major with the major 6. So those are all super major chords with 6ths added to them. It sounds a lot smoother than just doing the triads. These are just triads. Versus like the just regular major triads. Those sound pretty normal. Maybe just a little different. Yeah, the major 6 chords. Yeah, super major 3rd just does not like to. It almost feels like a suspension. Like a. That'd be a suspended 4 to the major chord. That's a super major 3rd. Very similar. Any recommendations for nice octatonic or non-tonic scales in 22? You want to make use of the larger set of notes available. Well, I'm not really the person to ask because I'm really into diatonic scales, especially in microtonal music. Just because I feel like it's such a, I don't know, it's already so hard. And the thing is that I think about how you use octatonic scales in like 12 equal. It's basically just a diminished scale, right? But it could also be like a bebop scale or something like that. I think about how like those sorts of scales are used in 12 equal, and they don't. I'm not saying they're not useful. They're very useful, but like it's hard to like use like a diminished scale as like the basis for composition in a general sense. Like it's easy to like throw those kinds of scales over certain chords, or like for, you know, just for like special moments in music. You can obviously write pieces using octatonic scales, and it's been done, and you can write good music with them. But I'm just more interested right now because I feel like it's all still so new to me, the microtonal thing, and it's so hard to really approach. Approach is the wrong word. It's hard to understand it. So I try to just figure out what's basic about this. Like, how do you do basic stuff? So because of that, I'm really not that into scales that aren't diatonic. I've tried a lot of them out. I've tried out porcupine, for instance. Porcupine in 22 is one that's highly recommended. And that would probably be one that you could try. If you're familiar at all with 22, you've probably already heard of it. But porcupine is just, you stack the 22, if 3 steps of 22 is this right here, this neutral second, 163 cents. If you stack that up a whole bunch, you get a porcupine scale. So you can do a 7-note version, you can do an 8-note version. It just depends on how you want to do it. So you can do it with 8 notes. Or with 7. And yeah. I think that's right? Yeah, it's almost like a whole tone, but like it's like a neutral second stack. I'm not a big fan of scales like that. Also, like because I don't like scales usually that are just like one interval and then at the end it's like a small interval or one large interval. Sometimes they're okay, but I usually don't like those as much. 7, 9 note feels cramped with 12 chromatic tones. You have more choice, more manageable. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people approach it that way. It's not really about it being crammed. That's not really the issue with 12 equal. It's just that structurally speaking, like a symmetrical scale in 12 equal, like octatonic, does not create a sense of tension and release in as straightforward a way as, say, a major scale or a minor scale, right? So when I write in 12 equal, even if I do like a bunch of crazy chords and stuff, a bunch of weird scales, I'm almost always like relating everything back to this kind of fundamental diatonic structure. Because to me, that's kind of the easiest way to create a sense of narrative in music from a harmonic perspective. So when I use symmetrical structures like octatonic, whole tone, whatever, I mean, those are the main ones, obviously. But there's other, there's like I can't remember what they're called, but it doesn't matter. It's hard to, it's like it doesn't privilege any particular tone. They feel very ungrounded in a way. They're not like tied. It's harder to establish a root. Like you have to kind of like work extra hard to create a sense of like a sense of a tonic, basically. Whereas in a major scale, it's super easy. In a minor scale, it's arguably easier, even. And yeah. And then if you want to do something more like loose feeling and less grounded, you can do something modal in that framework, or you can do something more like modern jazz approach where it's like the scales change with the chords and blah blah blah. But yeah, I don't personally get a lot out of writing with like symmetrical structures. And the thing is, with something like Porcupine, even though it's not exactly a symmetrical structure because it has 2 step sizes, it feels like a more or less symmetrical structure with like one random note tagged on the end. So while it's not quite as bad as like a whole tone scale where everything is like so up in the air, there's still not this like, it still doesn't feel grounded on a tonic. It's still hard to tonicize. It maybe has like more modes. You know what I mean? Like a whole tone scale has 1 mode. A diminished scale has 2 modes. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what note you start on. It just has two modes. Because it's either half whole or whole half. I don't know if you know what I'm saying, but that's why I'm not huge into like weird number note scales. Now, I do use kind of like earlier I was talking about like in 22, you have two diatonic major scales. So like maybe this is a good answer to your question. And maybe I have an answer to your question that I've kind of been skirting around. But like in 22, you have your diatonic based off the circle of fifths, which is super Pyth. So that goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And then you have kind of that's basically a 7 limit structure. Then you have like the 5 limit version, which sounds more like the 12 Edo, or it's like the 5 limit alteration, which is nice tone, or Zarlino, and that sounds like this. And that's where I was saying you can get those major chords and those minor chords to sound more like in 12 equal, whereas in super Pyth you have the super majors and the sub minors. Now you can literally just combine the two scales. So, and in fact, there's two what we call chiralities of nice tone. So you have this other version. Oops. Sorry. With a lower 2. Lower second scale degree versus this. So you could combine those two scales to get sorry. And that would give you a what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That would give you a 10-note scale. So if you combined nice tone and super Pyth, you would get this like diatonic superstructure, which is kind of actually how I'm sort of approaching major scales in 22. But I kind of more privilege nice tone, but I'm pretty loose with like the 6th scale degree. So that would be like. That'd be like, so if you start on the root, it'd be like 3, 1, 3, 1, 1. 3, 1, 3, 1, 1. 4, 3, 1. 3, 1, 1. Should be like C down D down or D down E E F G down A down B B. Let's see. Using 22 as a appeal because you could just try to transcribe to 12 Edo music by distinguishing enharmonic notes C sharp, D flat. So you can construct more than one minor sounding scale in 22, right? Can you modulate between any version of C minor or major scale? Do some go better together? So yeah, I've been doing that. I've done that a bit actually, where I translate stuff into 22. And actually, yeah, 22's minor is a lot harder to like translate from 12 into than the major. So basically in the major scale, you more or less want to go to nice tone. That's usually a safe bet. But if you're in a minor key, you have a minor nice tone too, which is like, but if the chords are basically like 1, 4, 5, 1 kind of stuff, it's not that difficult. It's just, you know, there's your 1, then there's your 4, and then your 5 can just be normal. if you do stuff that's a little more modern, has like more chords, blah blah blah, it can get more. It can become challenging because it's easier to address this, like the problem with the major scale translating to a major scale. So basically, like if you wanted to do nice tone in a major scale, if you're in a major key, if you wanted to do nice tone, basically your 1, 4, and 5 chords are normal. There's no issue there. But say you have a 2 chord. So your notes in nice tone are C, D, down E, F, G, down A, down B, C. So say you have a minor 2 chord. If you were sticking in a nice tone, that would go D, F, down A. So down A is not a fifth above D. It's a down fifth or whatever. It's like a whatever you call that. What do they call it on Wikipedia? They call it what? They skipped that note. They completely skipped it on Wikipedia. Anyways, 655 cents. I don't know why it's not on here. But why'd they skip it? That's so strange. They didn't skip the number. 13. Oh, they did skip the number. Yeah, why'd they skip it? Anyway, so that. So basically, if you have a 2 chord, you don't want to stick to nice tone, you want to go to super pipe. Or you want to do the other nice tone with the down D. So it'd be like a down D minor to a G7 to a C. Which that sounds fine. But the down D is not in the G chord. So it has this weird kind of shifting quality. But if you just if you just said, you know, screw it, I'm gonna just do D sub minor. The D is in the G chord. So anyway, this happens because the 5th is sharp, and so basically, like, you have basically, like, we say in 22 the syntonic comma is not tempered out. So basically, I don't know. I don't understand the math behind it, or really. I mean, I understand the concept, but I can't really describe the details of it. But basically, like, this is why it's convenient to kind of look at an overarching diatonic, like, superstructure that includes nice tone and super pipe, and to just basically borrow notes, or to use whatever note makes sense for the particular chords you're using. So that's in a major key. Now in a minor key, like, you have the same kind of issue, but instead of it occurring on the 2nd scale degree, it happens like on the 4th scale degree. So, like, say you're in C minor, and you want to go to, like, the relative major, basically, or like go to the 3 chord or the 6 chord, the flat 3 or flat 6 or whatever. That's it. So let's try it. This would be like 1, 3, 6. So 1 flat 3 flat 6. So this note up here, that's not an F, that's an up F. So basically, like in the key of like up E flat major, which is where like the flat 3 and flat 6 and flat 7 chords like are borrowed from, so to speak. Even if you're in the minor key, like when you go to that relative major, the up F sounds better than the regular F. Sorry. Now you can use the regular F, and melodically it's probably fine. Maybe not quite as good, but it's probably fine if it's not like a super familiar melody. But when you like start adding extensions to your chords, even if you're like, say you want to play a C minor 11 chord, if you put the regular F on there, it sounds like that. But if you just go up that chain of fifths and you do the up F, it sounds way better. So C minor 11 sounds way better with an up F than a regular F. But you're not going to change your 4 chord to an up 4. I mean, I guess you could, but you probably don't want to. You know what I mean? Because as soon as you do that, like, are you going to play up 4 minor? Like, all the notes are suddenly different. It sounds like a, you know, like a key change. Which, that can be super cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, if that's what you're trying to do, that's obviously a really cool thing you can't do in 12. It's like a very subtle kind of shift. But I'm saying, if you were trying to just do a basic minor key thing, you probably want to go to just the regular F minor, you know? As opposed to, which sounds a little more like it's the sort of like chord change that, I don't know, it feels, it's like a cool, like kind of jazzy sort of thing, but it feels more like, you know, just like a very like modern shift in harmony, which again is a cool sound. I'm not against that sound, but say you're trying to do a traditional kind of minor thing, translate something from 12 into minor, like that's the sort of thing that pops up. Is like you find these kind of like, because in 12 equal the syntonic comma is tempered out. It's not in 22, so basically like some chords fifths will fit in the scale and then other chords fifths will not. So like most of the chords are going to fit in one scale, one diatonic scale, but a couple of them won't. And it's tricky in major or minor, but it seems trickier in minor because of that. Because like half the chords in a minor key are part of the relative major. I mean, it's true in major too. Like half the chords are in the relative minor. That's actually really, it's really the same thing. Like all the weirdness in both scales is like, it's fine if you just stick to major chords or just stick to, like, it's fine if you just stick to 1, 4, and 5 chords. But as soon as you go to like if you're in a major key, as soon as you go to, well, the 3 chord's fine, actually. Well, a nice tone, yeah, the 3 chord and the 6 chord are fine. But the 7 chord is weird. But not really. I mean, it's supposed to be diminished. Really, just the 2 chord is weird in major. So instead of having that, you end up with like this weird thing. And you can can change one note, or you can borrow, like, well, yeah, you end up having to change a note, basically, to do the 2 chord. In a major key, but in a minor key, you would want to change, basically the flat 7 chord has that F as the 5th. And then if you were going to do like extended stuff, extended chords, or even like melodic stuff over, well, maybe not. I guess it's the flat 7 chord in the minor key would be the biggest one, because the 5th would be flat. And then the other chords would be fine. All the triads, I mean. So yeah, the minor 1 would be that. And then diminished 2, and then flat 3, flat 4, 5, and then 6. So over the flat 7, you'd want to raise the F probably to up F or whatever. So I guess they're the same amount of off. It's just like one note. It ends up being a different note. That's tricky. So in the major key, it's like the 2, the 2nd scale degree, and then in the minor key, it's the 4th scale degree. Maybe it just feels trickier to me because the 4 chord feels so fundamental. But I mean, 2 chords are really common too, but I don't know, I feel like the 4 chord is a little more fundamental structurally speaking, usually, but most of the time. So in the minor key, it seems to make a bigger difference. I don't know. Also, maybe just because minor keys just tend to be more complicated, with like the 5 chord usually being like major. And then like, you know, there being so many different types of minor. Anyway. You're struggling to hear some of the minute difference in timbre. Yeah, I mean, it is all subtle stuff. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, doing microtonal music, it's, you know, it's all about, like, you're appreciating, like, subtle changes. Because, you know, tuning is a subtle thing. Like, when you end up just playing, like, familiar chords in a different tuning, like, you can hear a major chord in, like, you know, a bunch of different tunings, like, and just like, so if I'm in, so we're in 22 right now, and we'll do like major chord in 22, and then like 19 has a good major chord, so we'll listen to the major chord in 19. That sounds like this. And 17 has a decent major chord. So listen to that. Sounds like this. You know what I mean? Like, these are all different tunings, but that's the same chord. 15 has an okay major chord. This one will be probably the weirdest sounding out of the bunch. But, you know, it still kind of sounds like a major chord. 26 has a good major chord, or pretty good major chord, I guess. Actually, the super major might sound more like the major in 26. But, yeah, when you're just like playing these triads and stuff, you're comparing the chords, like, a major chord sounds major. It's going to be a little different in every tuning. Like 31's a really popular tuning. Oops. 7, 5, 3. And that one's. Is a really nice major chord. So yeah, all those chords sound very similar. And even if you go in like a weird tuning like 23, it doesn't really have a good major chord because it doesn't have a good fifth, but it has like recognizably major sounding chords. Even kind of has like a familiar diatonic structure in there too. So yeah, a lot of tunings have like these sort of familiar harmonic identities, and they're just slightly tweaked. So it ends up being that you're dealing with these sort of like subtle differences, but I think more importantly, like the way you end up structuring the music on a more macro level, that's where tuning makes a big difference. So like we looked at like 17, 19, and 31 and 26. Those can all be structured similarly to 12 equal because there's like a diatonic scale that is based off a chain of fifths that doesn't need to be modified. So if you just stack a series of 7 fifths in 31, 26, 19, 17, or 12 equal, you'll get a diatonic scale. So like in 12, it sounds like this. Everybody's favorite. And then in 17, it sounds like this. Just pretty similar, but just a little different. And then in 19, it actually sounds quite similar to the 12 equal one. And so on. 26. It sounds. Oh wait, I think this is right. It sounds like this. Yeah, anyway, so they all sound like major scales, is all I'm saying. They might sound slightly different. 31. So, yeah, you have these major scales in all these tunings. But like in a tuning like 22, if you stack the fifths, you get super pipes, which is again, sounds pretty much like a major scale, but when you listen to these chords, that major chord is not as sweet as that one. So you have stuff like that, like in 22, like the overarching structure of the tuning on a basic level. Like if you're just looking at like, okay, how do you make a diatonic scale? How do you define a key? Like what notes sound good in a key? It gets more complicated in a tuning like 22. It doesn't get super complicated, but it's like one step more complex because 22 doesn't temper the syntonic comma. So you end up with this weird stuff because of that. Whereas a tuning like 17, 26, 31, you can just stack those fifths. You get a perfectly usable major scale where all the notes fit in that chain of fifths. You don't need to modify any of them. What's with the hype about 31? You know, something special about this one? Well, I'm not personally as stoked about 31 as a lot of people are. But it sounds really nice. I mean, it's a really nice sounding tuning. It has a great sounding major scale. Basically, like 31 is considered more in tune than 12 equal. Because arguably it's not, because its fifth is not as in tune. So it depends on how you interpret in tune. Like for some people, the perfect fifth needs to be really in tune. Most of these people, if they're microtonalists, they're not into equal divisions of the octave because most of them don't give you good fifths. But if you really privilege a fifth, like they would be more into like JI or something, where you can always have perfect fifths. But like a tuning like 31, your fifth is not as good as in 12, but it's still good. I mean, it's still quite good. And then, but your like thirds are a lot closer to JI, so like your major third is really close to a 5/4 major third, and then your minor third is really close to a 6/5 JI minor third. So the thing is 31 has the familiar mean tone structure of 12 equal, where you can stack those fifths, you can stack 7 fifths and get a major scale or a minor scale. And you have all the same chords, major and minor, and also it's a better approximation overall of low limit, justly tuned intervals. So basically it approximates the harmonic series a lot more closely than 12 equal does. Like the first 11 harmonics have like decent approximations that are way better than 12s, with the big exception being the third harmonic, which is the perfect fifth. It's not as good as it is in 12. It's a little flat. But that's why 31 is, in a nutshell, that's why 31 is so popular. It's because it's appealing to people who like JI. And that's kind of where the big division is. Like the biggest division in microtonal circles is, at least as far as I can tell, it's between people who are into equal temperaments and people who are into just intonation. And there's a lot of different tuning schemes outside of those. Like there's all kinds of crazy stuff you can do with tuning, but those are the two most popular blanket approaches. So there's a lot of microtonalists who do pretty much only JI, and there's a lot of microtonalists who do basically only equal divisions of the octave, or Itos. And I tend to do more Itos, but I do mess with JI a lot. But yeah, the thing is like equal temperaments there's a lot of things that are really convenient about them. Like the fact that you can transpose makes them super convenient. And then 31 has like, you know, up to the 11 limit is pretty well approximated. And a lot of JI people don't like to go past the 11th harmonic anyways. So 31 like kind of hits this sweet spot where people who really just want JI will kind of consider 31 a better compromise than 12. And, you know, and yeah, that's the biggest one. The other thing is that the logic of 31 is really straightforward. So it's kind of, and you know, the other thing about that before I get into this next point is that if something approximates JI well, there's a lot of consonants. So like, meaning like a lot of the chords just sound really stable and pure. So 31 just has a lot of really clean harmonies. So, you know, I mean, a lot of people just like that sound. They like that kind of pure sound. Um, and 31's not perfectly pure, but it's purer than 12. And it's basically the closest thing to 12 that is purer than 12. So to get purer than 31, you kind of have to go all the way up to 41. And some would argue that 19 is a better choice than 31 because it's not as big, but I won't get into all that. Music justification just sounds off in the first 40 seconds whenever you hear it. Yeah, that's the other thing is like not everybody likes JI. Like I'm not really that wild about it myself. Like it honestly sounds kind of boring to me a lot of times. Because when everything is like super in tune and super pure, it's a lot harder to create tension. And everything ends up feeling kind of flat and like almost like too clean. And you know, I like dissonance and I like a little dirt and grime and a little suffering in my art in general and in my music. So you know, 31 is not necessarily my thing, but if you're into like really clean stuff, I think 31 is probably going to be appealing. But yeah, the other thing about 31 that is appealing is that the logic of 31 is really straightforward. So basically, like the way you name the notes. So you have sharps and flats like you do in 12, but sharps and flats are not enharmonically equivalent. They're different notes. So D flat and C sharp are not the same note. And then you have half sharps, half flats. And you can conceive of the whole tuning with just those. And double sharps and double flats. And just none of them are enharmonically equivalent, except like double flat would be half sharp. And double sharp would be half flat. And then we also have what's called sesquiflat, sesquisharp, which is like a flat and a half. It's like it's like flat plus half a flat, and like sharp plus half sharp. So basically, the tuning makes a lot of sense. Logically, like it's just very straightforward compared to like 22 equal, which is a tuning I prefer, but it's just more complicated to understand. It's just more confusing. Basically, 22 is more confusing than 31. So it's the combination of like 31 has a lot of clean harmonies. It's closer to JI, so it's appealing to people who aren't necessarily into equal temperaments, but you know, they might be into 31 though because it's pretty clean. And then the logic is just really straightforward. So you can like get all the 31 keys with like 7 naturals, 7 flats, 7 sharps, 7 half flats, 7 half sharps, or whatever, however you want to do that. And yeah, so like if I think I think in this layout it's like Yeah, so it'd be like, if this is C, that'd be C half flat, or half sharp, I mean. It'd be C, D double flat, C sharp, D flat, C double sharp, D. So you can kind of just like alternate like double flat and sharp and flat and all that. And you can also just go like C, C half sharp, C sharp, C sesquisharp, C double sharp, D. And then if you want the other way, you go D, D, where is it? D half flat, D flat, D sesquiflat, D double flat, C. So it's like really straightforward. Like maybe if I write it down, it'd be a little more obvious, but it would go like C, C half flat, C flat. I don't know how people write the C flat and a half. I think it's like that. And then, oh, it should be sharp though. So C, C half sharp, C sharp, and then C sesquisharp, and then C double sharp, and then D. But you could also go like C, D double flat, C sharp, D flat, C double sharp. So like you can do 31 without any special accidentals if you use double flats and double sharps. But a lot of people like half flats and half sharps. But in 22, so that's in 31. But in 22, you go C, up C. Like 22 is kind of weird. It's like C, then up C, then C, or down C sharp, C sharp, D, which can also be C, D flat. And it's this middle note that is super weird. So like if you don't use ups or downs, this would be like B sharp. You go like C, D flat, B sharp, C sharp, D, which is like super confusing. And then as you go past D, it's like, it gets annoying because it's like D, E flat, and I'm pretty sure it's C double sharp or something like that, and then D sharp. 3, 1, 2, yeah, C double sharp, then D flat. And then like C double sharp is the same thing as F flat or whatever. It's like super confusing if you don't use ups or downs. And then if you do use ups and downs, you know, you still have like two ways of doing this. So it could be C and then D flat, and then it's called up D flat, and then down D, and then D. So in 22, our best system is the ups and downs system, which Kite Gudritis came up with that. And it's used in a ton of different tunings. I don't think he came up with it for 22. It's just, he probably came up with it for 41 because that's his favorite tuning. But yeah, it's super convenient. system for 22. But yeah, it's just like, it's like 22, even though it's fewer notes, the logic of like the naming is a little more complex. And then like figuring out what a major scale even is, it's a little more complex. Like in 31, a major scale is always the same thing. It's always this. You're not going to substitute out one note for another. And then I'm going to go in a second. But one last note about 31, why it's popular, is it includes like all the basic varieties of pretty much all the intervals. So you have in 31 you have subminor, minor, neutral, major, and super major versions of all your intervals. So like you have a major chord, a minor chord, but you also have super major, and you also have neutral, and then subminor. Wait, did I do that right? So you have major, super major, you have major, neutral, minor, subminor. Yeah, and then you have a super major second, minor or neutral second. Minor second. Oh, that's neutral second. Minor second, subminor second. But yeah, you have subminor, subminor, minor, neutral. Wait a second. I'm doing wrong here. I think that's like up unison or something. So you have major, so you have the note, subminor, minor, neutral. Oh, weird. That's not super major. Ah, never mind. Forget that point. I'm confused about something. I think this is like a not a minor second at all. So this is major. Major. So this is minor. This is major. That's neutral. That's subminor. I can see it neutral. You like neutral? Yeah, the neutral ones in 31 sound really cool. So anyway, I'm a little confused about that. I haven't done that much with 31 in a while. probably don't understand it as well as I assumed, but it does have those intervals though. It has all those. That's for sure. So it has neutral, major, super major, sub minor, thirds and sevenths, and seconds and sixths. And then, it has a bunch of tritones. It has a good approximation of the harmonic 11th and all that. So in 17 equal, it's a much smaller tuning. We say that has major, minor, and neutral. So if you like a smaller, if you wanted like a smaller tuning with neutrals, 17 is a good choice. But I actually really like the sound of 31's neutral. Neutral intervals, I think they sound really good. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna get going, but it was nice chatting with y'all. Thanks for checking out the stream. And yeah, I should be back tomorrow. I'm looking at 22 some more. And yeah, okay. Thanks again. Y'all have a good rest of your day.